Hey everybody, welcome into the Irish NFL show. Friday night, a big show ahead, but we have some big news to start off this bumper show for fans across Ireland. That's right, Northwestern University are playing Nebraska at the Aviva Stadium next August, and we are delighted to hear now from Coach Fitzgerald, who's reacted to this news.
Well, incredible opportunity to alert our football team, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to travel to Dublin to play an American football game. Obviously, it's going to be a unique experience, and the guys seem pretty excited.
You mentioned, although nothing to promise, that you want to turn this into a bowl trip. There's the chance to obviously do more than play a football game?
Well, that's the whole thing. The opportunity to go experience the culture of the great country of Ireland is something that I'm obviously excited about, and I know our guys will immerse themselves in, and we'd love to have this be like a bowl trip from a standpoint of the way that we've always done things here for our players. It's about their experience, the experience of our fans, our students, and all of our alums, and so look forward to having just an amazing trip and an amazing time.
You have Irish roots. Have you been there before? You have any family there?
Yeah.
Anything personal you can add?
Yeah, I'm excited to have the opportunity to go to Ireland for the first time. We have family in Ireland, and so once in a lifetime opportunity for me, for my dad, that has never been to Ireland either. And so, as we have had similar bowl trips in the past where our young men, their families maybe have not spent a lot of time in the area, to now have this opportunity to go over to Ireland to experience the culture, the people, and everything that this type of game has to offer. I couldn't be more excited for our players, our staff, and our families. Go Cats.
It's just great to hear this. Fantastic news for the game here in Ireland and across the UK and Europe. And here is Taoiseach Micheál Martin, who has given his opinion on the game that's coming up next year.
Hello. As Taoiseach, or Prime Minister of Ireland, I very much look forward to welcoming Northwestern University and the University of Nebraska to Ireland next year in 2022. This past year has been a very challenging one for us all. But in Ireland, as in the United States, with our vaccination programme against COVID-19 advancing at pace, we are beginning to see light at the end of what has been a long and difficult tunnel. For the first time in what feels like a very long time, we can begin to look forward with hope and optimism to being able to welcome visitors safely back to our shores. We in Ireland pride ourselves on being the land of the Céad Míle Fáilte, the 100,000 welcomes. I can promise that we will have a very special welcome ready for the teams and your supporters when you visit us for the 2022 US College Football season opener as part of the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, to be played on the 27th of August 2022 at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. So to President Shapiro and Chancellor Green, together with your alumni and fans, I want to tell you that the people of Ireland stand ready to welcome Coach Fitzgerald, Coach Frost, and all the players and staff. It is wonderful to have such an exciting sporting event to look forward to. As a sports fan myself, I know how great contests like yours help lift spirits and strengthen ties between Ireland and the United States. So mark your calendars for August 2022, come to Ireland for the game, and stay to experience the best of our culture, our vibrant cities, towns and villages, our stunning scenery, our world-famous hospitality, and much, much more. So be assured that we are all looking forward to welcoming the Wildcats and the Huskers to a great celebration of sport and deep friendship between our two countries.
And that was Taoiseach Micheál Martin talking about the big college game coming to the Aviva Stadium in Dublin next August. It'll be here before you know it. Can't wait for it. We're delighted to be joined now by Brenda Meegan, who is the commercial director for the Aer Lingus US College Football Classic in Dublin. Brendan, a very warm welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, gents. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And look, Brendan, usually we ask people, because the majority of our guests are from the US, we usually ask people about their Irish heritage. I mean, I'm not going to waste time there in that sense, but could you maybe tell us maybe just a wee bit about your background before we start looking at the game, and how you got into this?
Well, I suppose I'm originally from Galway, so I'm Ireland and Galway through and through, and I've been up in Dublin for 20 odd years, working in various elements of finance and business. And I've always had a love of sport, and I've always, kind of touched on working with the business for sport and sport for business and that kind of thing. And I suppose this opportunity came around working with Paul Cocaine, Louise Thornton, and John Anthony over in the US. And I suppose these games in the past were always organised, I suppose, on an ad hoc basis. So, as far as you go back, and even more recently, 2012, 14, 16, there were games played in Ireland, but they were organised separately or individually. So now all of a sudden, coming up to 2020, we had a proposition. We have a 5-game series. So we can build something out now. We can build something real, something tangible. Something that really matters, not alone from a sporting perspective, but our tagline is much more than a game. So from a business, from an academic, from an educational, from a cultural, really looking at strengthening ties between Ireland and the US. As we know, the 5-game series was meant to kick off in 2020. That didn't happen, unfortunately. We also cancelled this year's game in 21, but we're delighted to be back up and running for 2022. And we're really excited to have Northwestern and Nebraska coming to town.
I suppose that Brendan, in terms of the two teams that you've mentioned, I mean, I can go all the way back. I was at the game in Limerick back in '91, and I remember Holy Cross. But look, we've seen in recent years Navy, Notre Dame, Penn State, BC, Georgia Tech. But like in terms of Northwestern and Nebraska, this might be like the most competitive game that we've seen on these shores. How did that come about?
Yeah, Colin, I think that's a really good point. So a number of years ago, Porrick and John Anthony met with Northwestern University to discuss the possibility of bringing a home game, a Northwestern home game, over to Ireland. Between the jigs and the reels, those conversations stalled, but they were picked back up before Christmas. And Mr. Martin Naughton from Glen Dimplex played a key role. He got on to a pal of his by the name of Mr. Pat Ryan. Mr. Ryan will be very well known in Northwestern University. The field they play in is known as Ryan Field. His name is also over the basketball and the volleyball stadiums. The two gentlemen got talking about how cool would it be to bring Northwestern to town. And, ultimately then we were able to play a role in ensuring that happened. Nebraska then, on the other hand, were meant to come this year playing against Illinois. It fell in 2022 into the schedule that Northwestern were playing a home game against Nebraska. Nebraska were great partners of ours last year. They were very disappointed that they had to cancel the game. So it was a natural game to bring over. And you're right, from a competitive perspective, it's one of the most competitive games that have ever been brought to these shores. So you have the likes of Northwestern. Okay, you're going back as far as 2000. The last time they were the conference champions. Coach Fitzgerald there now, we took over in 2016, and they've really improved. They've been bowl eligible, I think, 5 times in the last 5 or 6 years. They're also the national leaders, or one of the national leaders in graduation athletes from their football team. They won the Big Ten West title last year. Unfortunately, they were beaten by Ohio State in the Big Ten championship final, but I think it was like 33-10 or 22-10 actually, I think. And they went on to play Auburn in the Citrus Bowl, I think it was, in Orlando, which they won. They finished the year ranked number 10 in the Associated Press poll, which is their highest since 1995. So they are absolutely flying it. Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, there is no major league professional sport. So the Huskers, or Nebraska, is the sport in the state of Nebraska. They were national champions back in the 90s 3 times, I think 94, 96, 97, 94, 95, 97. And Coach Frost is in his 3rd year there. They have as far as I know, it's a record of longest sellout streaks in their home stadium. And you're looking at nearly 400. And that really gets impressive when you realize they're an 86,000 seater stadium that's been sold out for nearly 400 games in a row. So They're known as the Sea of Red. They will bring the colour, and we can't wait for this game. It's going to be very competitive.
Brendan, you touched on the point that the games previously that were organised were kind of organised on an ad hoc basis, where you're now looking to kind of solidify kind of a more of a long-term model. At what stage you start turning your attentions to the following year and the year after in terms of looking to, I suppose, secure teams to come over, so secure the colleges to come over and participate in 2023-24?
Yeah, Brian, good question. And the answer is we're already working on it. And we hope to announce a game for 23 later this summer, late summer, start of the football season. And we hope to announce 24 maybe towards the back end of this calendar year. If we're being brutally honest, we're probably late announcing this game, and that's just been because of COVID. The ideal run-in time is more than 15 months to organise these games, to organise the fans to travel and to generate the necessary excitement about it. But so we've already started working. We're talking to schools. The guys in the States are talking to schools all the time about bringing games. And as you guys know, their schedules for, these schools' schedules for 23, 24, 25, 26 have already been mapped out. And to move one game from October, say, which Northwestern were meant to play Nebraska in 22, bring it to week 0, that affects other universities. So, who they're playing the following week, who they're playing the previous week, they have to get NCAA approval to move a game to week 0. So we're already well on the road to looking at games for 23 and 24 and beyond. And just on that, you're right. Like, so this is a 5-game series. The steering committee of the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, it's our goal to cement Dublin and Ireland as the European home of American college football, and forevermore amend the first game of the US college football season to be played on week 0 in Dublin. That's our ultimate goal.
Sounds great. Absolutely love it. I think it's good for not just fans in Ireland, but in the UK and in Europe as well. It's going to be great to see people descend upon Dublin, regardless of where you're from. Brendan, I've seen you just speaking a lot. I think you're on a different podcast this week as well, talking about the great work done by partners such as Aer Lingus Tourism Ireland. How does that link into our, I guess, shared history with the US? It's very important with in terms of our ties with America, and this game and this profile that you are bringing to the Aviva really plays into that.
Yeah, it's hugely important, and as I said at the start, our tagline is much more than a game, and it's the reason we work on these games is to strengthen the ties between two countries. We have very, very close relationships with the US, and we need to retain them, and we need to keep them, and we need to grow them. We are blessed to have Aer Lingus on board, despite what they've gone through. They have committed to us and their support. And then we essentially are a PPP, a public-private partnership, and we have the support of the Department of the Taoiseach. We have the support of the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sports and Media through Minister Martin and Minister Chambers. And we also have the support of the Department of Education and of Foreign Affairs and of Trade and Employment. And, we're on record as saying that these games from a commercial perspective do not make sense on ticket sales alone. So without the support of the government, of the Aer Lingus, the likes of Fáilte Ireland, Tourism Ireland, DCC, Grant Thornton, Evershed, Sutherland, Glen Dimplex, the Abbey Group, we wouldn't be able to deliver these. So, there is a sense of Ireland coming together to host these games and to host the events around these games. And, we will look to travel to the States a couple of times this autumn. We will look to bring a trade mission to the state of Nebraska. It's been a while since Ireland visited there, to the reverse fixture this year on the 2nd of October. And we'll also look at getting in a Northwestern game at some stage and, kind of leveraging off the Irish connections that are in the likes of the city of Chicago and the state of Nebraska.
Brendan, I certainly am excited about it. I've been to all the games, as I said, going back all the way to 91. But I'm sure there are a lot of people watching who are going to be excited about this and the possibility of seeing a competitive game. But the guys who'll go on to play in the NFL, Harrison Butker, who has won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, was over a few years ago. So this is the potential for fans to see guys who will, take to the field every Sunday in the NFL. For people who want to get more information or interested in knowing about how to go about getting tickets and things like that, where's the best place for them to go and get that information?
So we've actually launched a brand new website at collegefootballireland.com. There's hospitality up there at the moment. You can buy the hospitality. You can also sign up for a pre-sale access for General Tickets. General Tickets probably won't go on sale for this game until February time next year. The pre-sale obviously in advance of that, but hospitality options are up there at this moment in time. And yeah, you're right. Like the whole college football phenomenon in the States is absolutely massive. You know, the way they work the draft even itself is so exciting, where essentially, you know, to the layman, the worst NFL team gets the first pick of the best college football player in any given season. You know, if you separate out college football from the NFL in the States across all platforms, viewership and revenues, it's the second biggest sport. So NFL the biggest, college football the second, and that's ahead of baseball or basketball. So, you know, these guys are they're college athletes, but they are essentially looking to go on to be professionals and play in the NFL. So that in itself is serious excitement. So collegefootballireland.com, all the details on there.
Brendan, we've seen since the Aviva has been revamped in terms of how comfortable it is to go and enjoy a game of football or rugby in the stadium, with the exception of 2014 game being played in Croke Park. Is the long-term plan to have the games all in the Aviva? We've seen the NFL kind of moving more towards Tottenham's ground now long-term rather than Wembley, because of kind of the facilities that comes with the new stadium. So is it a case that all the games will be in all likelihood played in the Aviva?
Yeah, we've excellent partners in Martin Murphy and the team in the Aviva Stadium, and the plan is that all these games will be played in the Aviva Stadium. Yeah.
Sounds good. Look, I think I'm really excited. Just the last one from me, Brendan. You're saying there it's much more than the game, and it's getting people to really visit around Ireland and even going into Northern Ireland as well and seeing the tourism. One thing that I did notice, and maybe you could talk just a wee bit more about it, was the Kildare High School Showcase. So there's also a plan to not just have college football, but maybe high school football as well next August.
Yeah, so we're working closely with Alan Shine and his team in County Kildare Chamber, and also with Maynooth University, where Kildare will be the home of the high school showcase. And this is essentially where a number of high schools will come over. They'll sample Ireland, the culture of Ireland, and they will play a number of games in Kildare, you know, and enjoying the sights and enjoying everything that Kildare has to offer. You know, tying it in with the likes of the horse racing, Kildare Village, and other aspects that Kildare. So that's something we're working on. That's something we're very excited about. And I think the guys we're working with down in Kildare and Maynooth University are also very excited about too.
And I think that aspect of the fans coming over, I know I was able to go to some of the fan events and to lead up some of the previous games. I mean, that's a huge part of it. And I think for viewers, I mean, even high school football, if anyone hasn't watched Friday Night Lights, check it out, because high school football is equally as exciting, and that will bring people as well. And look, Brendan, I'm sure this is going to be the first of many conversations as we build up to the game. And for viewers, I know that we're going to make a lot of the links that you've talked about available on our website and underneath the broadcast. But we want to thank you for taking the time. It is certainly a very exciting time. I mean, having gone through COVID and had the disappointment of the cancelled game, it is really exciting for us to hear about the plans for the future, both next year, but also, you know, the long-term vision. So thanks to you for taking the time to chat to us today.
No problem, Colin. And it's very exciting for American football fans, but it's also very, very important for Ireland and the tourism and the hospitality industries. You know, that they've been crucified over the last 15, 16 months. We expect conservatively 18,000 Americans to travel for the game in 22. That's discounted on the back of any kind of COVID effect. We expect 5,000 to come from Europe. You guys will know how big American football is, especially in the UK and in Germany. You know, you've over 54,000 registered players in both those countries. So we want people coming back to Ireland. You know, we Grant Thornton and Falch Ireland estimate this game to be worth in around 63 million to the Irish economy. So, you know, we believe it'll be the biggest inbound tourism event in 2022, and we want to keep it going. It's very important.
The link for sign up, folks, is below. You can check it out as well, please, if you're on Twitter. I'm going to put it on Facebook as well. Brendan, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks very much, guys. Lovely to talk.